Hello, in this video I'm going to be talking about the phenomenon of ghosting or withdrawal. I'm going to explain what ghosting is, the impact ghosting can have on you, options if somebody ghosts you, and then I'm going to have a note for the ghoster. Before I go on, I'd love to invite you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and you can go to yerbba.com to get your personalized report. So ghosting, some of you may already know the word, but for those of you who don't, ghosting means somebody just disappears. Everything seems to be fine, or maybe you've had some conflict and then they just disappear from your life. They don't talk to you when they see you in the street. They don't respond to your texts or emails or phone calls, and it's usually done with no explanation. If it's done with an explanation, that's usually a fracture in the relationship or a friendship breakup or a romantic breakup or a rift. But if it's done without any explanation, that's technically what ghosting means. You can be ghosted with or without breast cancer or without another serious illness, of course. We have friends who ghost us all the time for seemingly absolutely no reason. What's the impact on us? Well, if it's happened to you, you know there's a sense of betrayal and a sense of grief and loss. If that important relationship was important to you, it can be like a death. Somebody's just disappeared from your life as if they've died, or you may feel that you've died to that person. You may thus have grief and mourn that friendship or other relationship. You may be furious, you may be angry, you may be sad, you can get depressed, you can be anxious and tell yourself things like something's wrong with me. There are old metaphors around cancer of contamination, and if somebody ghosts you, you can have this feeling that you've been infected or contaminated with something and people don't want to be near you, or a particular person, or I guess sometimes whole groups of friends can ghost somebody. This can lead to a sense of distrust. You may have a hard time trusting them again if they renew the relationship. You may have a hard time trusting other people in your life for fear that they may also ghost you at some point in the future. You can feel really brittle and vulnerable. And you can be really disappointed in them and wonder, again, what's wrong with me, even though most likely nothing is wrong with you. You may feel isolated. If this was your best friend, or it's a family member or a partner of yours, that feeling of being alone, even if everybody else around you is still there, that one person, if they were a substantial portion of your life, somebody you texted every day or saw every day or talked to on the phone every day, you can feel a profound sense of isolation. And then you can also have lower self-esteem. So even if you don't have the sense of contamination or infection or something's wrong with me, you may not see your own value, your own dignity. So there's a lot of fallout. And of course, after you finished watching this video, you can let us know in the comments the impact this had on you. So what do you do if you've been ghosted? Well, there are all kinds of things, from self-talk, how you talk with yourself, self-compassion. You might say things to yourself like, of course this hurts. This person left without any explanation. Maybe even just having a name, ghosting, is useful to you. You can say, yeah, this hurts, I've been ghosted. The next thing to do is realize you're not alone. People are ghosted all the time. It's very painful, but you are not alone. This is part of the experience of humanity. And I have to say, the instantaneous nature of texts and emails, that abruptness can seem more profound than when we used to talk on the phone and we could say somebody's not calling us back because they're away from the phone. Now we're never away from our phones. We used to write letters to people, and if a letter didn't come back to us, we could say, well, it's stuck in the mail, and it often was. But the quickness of having our smartphones and email can make us really acutely aware that we've been ghosted. So speaking kindly to yourself and validating your own experience, realizing you're not alone. And then the third thing is to try to depersonalize this. And what I mean by that is you've been ghosted most likely not because of you. It's most likely an issue that the other person is having. It's not you, it's them. And yes, it can still hurt, but that ability to detach and depersonalize it and not take it personally can be really helpful in allowing you to move forward. The other thing is a couple things not to do. I think in order to preserve your dignity, pursuing that person is going to violate your dignity, and you're going to not feel good about yourself. The next thing I would probably not do is try to answer the question why. And this is the reason I say this. It is very likely that the person who ghosted you doesn't know why they ghosted you. I can give you some possible reasons, but it is very likely when we are hurt that any explanation we think that's going to fix everything actually won't, because that's not what's required for healing. And second of all, I don't know if I would believe it, because I don't think most people know why they do what they do. So what are some of the reasons? Well, the most common one is that people freak out. They get scared and they are overwhelmed by the word cancer, or by knowing you're going to go through something they haven't gone through, or maybe they have. So if they've gone through a serious illness, this may actually be hard for them because they're watching you go through it, and it brings back their memories. And yes, we wish they could be there for you, but there are lots of people who've told me it's really hard to be there for their friends going through something that was so challenging for them. So they can be overwhelmed, they can be scared. Sometimes it brings up their own fears about getting cancer. I've seen that a lot with people. The third reason is because they do care and they want to stay in touch, but they don't know what to say. And the further out it gets, the harder it is for them to reach out. If you've ever had the experience where you didn't get back to somebody, every day, every week, every year that goes by makes it harder to reach out because you feel bad. So that's a very possible explanation. You can even see this with your primary care doctor, where you don't hear from them. And they thought about calling you when they first found out you were diagnosed, but they didn't know the treatment plan yet. So they waited, and then they got busy, and a week later it seemed too late. So if you've been ghosted by somebody on your medical team, it's probably that phenomenon. And I'd love you to think about a time you've done that, not by way of making you feel bad, but by sort of putting yourself in their shoes. Another explanation is that, let's say this person always has the answers, and this time they don't. So not knowing enough about breast cancer or its treatment, if somebody has played that role of information giver in your life, we all have friends like that who are smart, the ones we go to. If they don't feel they know the answers, they may withdraw. They may also be in denial. Family members in particular who fear losing you may actually avoid you. It's not because they don't love you. In a way, it's because they love you so much, it's just not a skillful way. So if you have a friend that you would have flown across the country for, or a family member, and that person doesn't come to you, they may actually be doing sort of a, what I don't see can't hurt me. They may actually want to sweep it under the rug. This is not an effective strategy because it leaves you alone, and it leaves you feeling abandoned, and it actually doesn't take away your cancer, but they're doing this in a way of being self-protective. And then the last thing that I think can get in the way is people want to give you your privacy. People don't want to invade and ask questions, or they think you're tired or not feeling well, and they want to just stay out of your way. You know, I know, like, if you think about somebody who's had a loss in the family, a lot of times we don't call because we don't want to impinge upon their privacy or their grief or the difficulty that they're having, or if we know that they feel bad about something that's happened in their family, we may not reach out because we don't want to trigger unhappy emotions in people. So there's a whole host of reasons. I'm not saying these reasons to make it okay or make it not hurt, but I think it can be useful, because I think the first thing we go to when we're ghosted is, they don't love me, something's wrong with me, it will never get better. And so just understanding different stories you can tell yourself for why people have ghosted you can actually be really therapeutic. We tend to tell ourselves one story, and expanding that can be really, really useful. Okay, now I'm going to talk to those of you who've ghosted somebody. We've all done it. I mean, really, we've all not been there when somebody thought we should be. First of all, we don't know how often they think we should be there, but we've all done it or have been tempted to do it. So if you have withdrawn from somebody, you're a family member, you're a friend, you're a partner, you just started dating somebody, and then they got cancer and you ghosted them, I want to invite you to think about what can you do for yourself and the person you ghosted. It might feel good in the short term to sort of not feel the discomfort of what somebody else is going through, but losing a friendship or a relationship, especially with somebody you know really well, that's a loss for you. I want to invite you to reconnect with that person. I want to invite you to reach out to them, and you might want to go low stakes. You might want to send them a card in the mail or drop by and leave some flowers on the doorstep. You might want to send an email or a text, and you might want to take accountability and say, I ghosted you. And don't make excuses. I've given you all these reasons why you might ghost. Don't tell the person you ghosted those reasons. First, reconnect, and then you can talk about it if they want to. So don't make excuses, accept responsibility, and try to make amends. Try to make up for it. It's going to take a while for them to trust you, possibly, or they may welcome you back with open arms, but don't lose this relationship. Just ask people what they need to feel better about the relationship. Tell them if there's something that you would have liked to have seen different in the relationship. Go ahead and tell them. It's not going to get any worse than it is right now. And they might reject you, but at least you'll know. And at least you'll know you've done your part. This was kind of a heavy video. I hope it was helpful. If it was, click like. That helps other people who've been ghosted find this video. And if you hit subscribe, you'll see our next videos. We're always putting out new content. Drop a comment or a question below if you've been ghosted. Share it with the Yerbba community. Then people won't feel so alone. They'll know that they're not the only one who's been ghosted. And if you've reunited with somebody who ghosted you, tell us how that went. How did it happen? And what was it like for you? And if you've ghosted somebody, tell us why you ghosted them, and if you've gotten back together, how that went for you. Thank you so much for watching.